So since Cinco de Mayo was coming up and I'm kind of a history nut, I figured, hey, what better time to talk about Santa Annie's leg?
Tell you what, man, I'm gonna take that in the DMV, man, take my picture, and I'm gonna hair hootie that day, man. On 4 dang old years, we're gonna go looking like Cokie Roberts, man.
Hey folks, welcome to Squirrel Tactics. Like, subscribe, check out the Patreon, let's do this. The Final Shinsult. The name most likely comes from the Naked Gun 33 1/3, the final insult, by the way. We start the episode off with Peggy, yeah, I know, subbing for a class who have a field trip coming up. So they put together a little skit here to give them a basic rundown about who Santa Anna was.
I am General Santa Anna. I led the Mexican army at the Alamo where we defeated Texas.
I'd like to point out that the costumes here are pretty good for a 45-second long class demonstration, and that bucket of chicken was probably around $10.99 back in 1998, and today runs for about $30.
Sir, I will hold your artificial leg while you eat chicken.
And we get to see exactly how old Santa Annie lost his artificial leg with a masterful performance from Dooley.
Attack.
Look out! It's the Illinois Volunteer Infantry. Hop on, General.
I stole your fake leg.
Oh, well, that was beautiful. That was just inspired.
Yeah, okay, decent job from Joseph and Bobby. Dooley, you're knocking it out of the park there. Keep doing what you're doing. And as far as for Peggy, well, as usual,
-5 stars!
Peggy then tells them about the current whereabouts of the leg, part of which is true, but we're gonna get to that in a second.
Even as we speak, Santa Anna's real fake leg is making its way from museum to museum on its journey home.
And she has to remind us why we all cheered when her parachute didn't open.
I guess you could say the Arlen Museum is the last leg of the tour. oh, Peggy.
Okay, so we need to talk about Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, or just Santa Anna. He was president of Mexico somewhere between 5 and 11 times, depending on who you ask. He had a penchant for using puppet rulers. And he lost his leg while unsuccessfully defending Veracruz from the French during the Pastry War. By the way, I did a video on the 2 French interventions in Mexico, the first one being referred to as the Pastry War because it sprouted from a French-owned pastry shop in Mexico City being looted by Mexicans, as well as another video on Santa Anna's legs. I'll post links down in the description if y'all want to check those out. Long story short, after being wounded, he had his left leg amputated and buried with full military honors. After which he had at least 3 artificial legs. 2 of those were captured by the 4th Regiment of the Illinois Volunteer Infantry at the Battle of Cerro Gordo when Santa Anna was forced to abandon them in retreat. They are now war trophies kept in Illinois. Santa Anna's 3rd leg is in Mexico City, by the way. As far as the whole give Mexico the leg back thing, yeah, no. First off, Mexico has never once asked for either leg back. Hell, remember his real leg that was buried with full military honors? Yeah, they dug that up and drug it through the streets. So, no. Do not give it back. It's what we like to call the spoils of war. Plus, as I said, Mexico hasn't expressed any interest in getting it back. But if you get a chance, do look into Mexican history because it's actually really interesting. And just to get this out of the way, Santa Anna was not at the Battle of Puebla, which is what Cinco de Mayo celebrates. He was actually in exile during the Second French Intervention in Mexico, which was when the battle took place. Also, I'm aware that it's not really much of a holiday in Mexico and is celebrated much more in the US. But that's actually a good thing because Cinco de Mayo serves the same purpose as St. Patrick's Day and Columbus Day, in that using holidays allows for the easier embracing of other peoples and cultures that immigrate to the United States. It's part of that whole melting pot thing. St. Patrick's Day did wonders for the treatment of Irish immigrants, and we celebrate Columbus Day because the largest lynching in American history was of Italian immigrants in New Orleans. And we damn near went to war with Italy over it. Oh, and while Santa Anna was visiting New York in the 1850s, he brought with him something called chicle, which had been chewed like gum in Mesoamerica for centuries. But it caught the attention of the American aide assigned to him, a guy named Thomas Adams, who would eventually be referred to as the father of the chewing gum industry, probably best known for creating chiclets. Yeah, the chewing gum industry pretty much all came from Santa Anna chewing on tree sap. Anywho, the guys are in the alley when Cotton makes an entrance the way that we all expect Cotton to make an entrance.
Thanks, Fatty. Don't mind if I do.
and we find out that apparently he and Dee Dee were not doing so great due to her not knitting him a blanket, which, if it wasn't that, yeah, it'd be something else. I do like the fact that when Dale tries to suck up here, Cotton is quick to teach him exactly what irony is.
Good for you, sir. I admire the speed with which you dispatch the insubordinate.
Shut your clam hole, Gribble.
So the main reason Cotton is in town is because he has the eye chart at the Arlen DMV. It's actually DPS in Texas, but whatever, memorized because they haven't changed it since the Second World War.
That's the big one, fatty.
Hank, seeing reason, doesn't think that Cotton driving is the best idea, and he's right. But Dale has to continue his suck-up crusade.
I think a man who gave his shins to win the Second World War has earned the right to drive an automobile.
At dinner, Cotton lays out that he wants to take Bobby on a trip with him.
Bobby and me are going to rent an RV this summer and drive around the country. We'll do 50 states in 50 days.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Alaska would make it pretty hard to do. Hawaii makes it impossible.
You know, Cotton, you can travel anywhere in the world in books.
But I do agree with Cotton's reaction to Peggy. Good job there. Hank again tries to have a conversation with Cotton about his driving skills, but this time it's Luann who makes things worse.
You know, Grandpa Hale, with an RV, you could put it on cruise control and then go in the back and watch TV.
Hank tries to steer things back on course, but Cotton reacts about as well as we'd expect him to when he's told he shouldn't drive.
Don't you tell me what to do. You ain't my daddy, I'm your daddy. I won the war. I can drive a car. Even your idiot friend Gribble knows that.
Now, the issue of senior citizens driving is kind of a tricky subject. South Park did a really good job of covering it, and it requires a certain finesse when it comes to how to respectfully deal with such situations. Peggy tries to change the subject and brings up Bobby's class trip to see Santa Anna's leg.
We did a play about him in school, and I was one of his privates.
And we get to see Cotton's reaction to learning that the leg was being returned to Mexico, but keep in mind, in real life, that's not the case.
What?
Take it easy, Dad. Take it easy.
You see, Bobby? Your daddy's generation's giving away everything we fought for.
Cotton storms off, and we cut to probably the next day where Hank, Cotton, and Bobby go down to the Department of Motor Vehicles. Again, since it's Texas, it should be the Department of Public Safety, and Hank complains about the length of the line, which in and of itself is a joke, but again, Cotton has a great reaction.
Oh, for Hank, I gutted a man. He whined less than you.
And while Cotton and Bobby fill out paperwork, Hank sneaks over to the clerk and asks him to change out the eye chart, knowing full well that if Cotton fails the eye test, he won't get a license and the streets of Texas will be safer. And as expected, Cotton fails the eye test.
All right, Clerky. Now take down the first letter of every word I say. Someday, Governor Reagan will run for president. I pass. Give me the license.
You fail.
What? Look at it again. Someday. That's SD, as in stupid dummy. That's you.
Hank acts as though he's angry at the situation and they leave, so yeah, mission accomplished, Hank. The streets are safer and nobody needs to know how it happened. As long as he can keep his mouth shut, it should be smooth sailing from here on out.
So you had the clerk switch the eye chart. That's a good plan. If you silence the clerk.
Yeah, he told the guys. Don't know why, but he told the guys. And of course, Dale being Dale, because this is one of the few Dale being as annoying as possible episodes, he has to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag after proposing that Cotton put a sail on his car and classify it as a boat.
It's a stupid idea, Dad.
Well, excuse me, Hank. I guess I'm not as clever as you are. I mean, I could never think of a clever idea like switching the eye chart so your dad would fail that test.
As could be expected, Cotton is not happy. Nope, not at all.
Looks like we got ourselves a Benedict Arling.
Hank explains his side, but again, Dale is in annoying mode and says that being a war hero allows Cotton to do whatever he wants, but Hank shuts that down.
Shut up, Dale. I know what's best for my dad.
If you knew what's best for me, you'd have drowned yourself 2 days after you was born.
At that point, Cotton was so angry that he left and went directly next door to stay with Dale.
You hear that, Hank? Daddy's staying with me.
Now, some people may question why Cotton wouldn't just go home. He kicked Dee Dee out, so it's not like he'd have to deal with her. I figure he stayed at the Gribble house because it allowed him access to home-cooked meals and someone to boss around, neither of which were waiting for him back home. May not be the most preferred sleeping arrangement, though.
See, Nancy? and you wanted to give away Joseph's crib.
I mean, I guess sleeping in a crib's better than sleeping in a drawer. Dale ends up making Cotton a fake driver's license. Yes, it's made from a cereal box, more specifically Cheerios, but he paid $1 for it. What do you expect? Cotton ends up running into a parking meter, and when an officer shows up, Cotton has to be Cotton, even when it's not that smart.
Woo! You want to frisk me, Cagney? Go ahead, then I can do you.
Luckily, the officer just thinks that Cotton is going senile and lets Hank take custody of him when he arrives.
All right, General Mills. Now I'm letting your son take care of you. You have to promise to be a good boy. Do you recognize your son?
Yep, he's Benedict Darling.
Hank takes him back home, and Cotton agrees to have a talk over dinner, but when he goes inside Dale's to get his bags, this happens. I'd make a werewolf full moon joke here, but it wouldn't be funny. Anywho, Hank ain't happy about that. But it does lead him to try and get Dee Dee to take Cotton back, which does not go well.
Oh, there's no patching things up this time, Hank. The passion is gone.
We do, however, get a flashback from Dee Dee showing how she and Cotton met at the Veterans Hospital when Cotton went in for his yearly shin draining.
I don't take no anesthetic. Did Lincoln ask for girly gas when they blowed his head off?
Not sure if she saw that whole Abraham Lincoln thing go down or he just told her about it later, but it seems odd yet hilarious for Dee Dee to add that detail into the story, but whatever. We get to see just what made each of them fall for one another.
Oh, you're like a little baby in that gown. Oh, Gucci, Gucci, goo. Oops.
Oh, sweet Lord! Clean peaches and heavy syrup.
And apparently Dee Dee hasn't kept up a plentiful enough backside for Cotton, or so he says, but she'd prefer a second opinion from Hank.
Do you think it's too small?
Oh, no. Put that away. It's fine. It's very big.
Hank ends up asking Cotton to help chaperone the school's museum trip, mostly so that Hank can keep his eyes on him, but Dale decides he's going to come along as well. And Cotton actually does a pretty good job with the kids considering he's Cotton, teaching them the importance of dental floss.
Yeah, I severed his windpipe with a 2-foot strand of dental floss I kept in my boot. And that's why it's always important to carry dental floss.
When they're shown the leg exhibit, the museum guide informs them that not only is the U.S. giving the leg back to Mexico, but also the original cost of the leg, about $1,500, and a letter of apology signed by the president, who at the time would have been old slick Willie Bill Clinton. And none of this sits well with Cotton.
The Japanese blew my shins off. When am I going to get them back?
Hank, chaperone your father.
Dad, I'm not going to tell you again. Zip it.
When the students get back on the bus, the guide comes out and informs everyone that Santa Anna's leg is missing, and he accuses the students of taking it. Hank unfortunately learns otherwise pretty quick. Knowing that they took the leg, Hank confronts Cotton and Dale and insists that they give it back, and that's when Cotton unveils his master plan.
The Mexicans have diplomats. They'll pull some strings, get me my license, then I'll give them back their leg.
Dad, the police are going to come after you.
That's my offer. Take it back to your people.
Yep, Cotton plans to use the leg as a bargaining chip in exchange for him getting a driver's license, which, okay, yeah, that might work.
He did it! He took the leg! It was his idea! You can have it back! Oh no! It's gone! Where'd you put it, you shinless old freak?
Except it doesn't work because of course it didn't work. Cotton could keep his mouth shut, but Dale folds like a lawn chair. Especially when the cops show up to his doorstep. Real quick though, I do like their legroom layout here. Notice the top shelf full of Dale's signature hats. But yeah, Dale totally gives up Cotton, and since Cotton knows how to handle traitors, luckily he has his trusty dental floss on hand for just such situations.
You are a worse traitor than Hank. I know how to deal with traitors. Ah!
Sir, you're going to want to give me that leg right now before you get in any more trouble.
I need that leg for leverage in my negotiations with the Mexican government.
The police stop him and demand that he hand over the leg, but Cotton refuses, so the police take him away. And the whole scene is a mixture of sad and hilarious. You know, it's that fine line that the show tends to navigate rather well.
You tell the meter maid I want my car back. I can drive myself They just changed the chart. Someday Governor Reagan will run for president.
He's taken to the Veterans Hospital and given a psychological evaluation, which apparently didn't go particularly well.
And we felt the psychological evaluation had come to an end after he claimed Dr. Mayoshi's stethoscope as a war trophy.
The doctor decides that Cotton needs constant supervision, so either Hank and Peggy have to always watch him, or he has to be put somewhere where he can be supervised 24/7, like staying in the hospital. They talk with Cotton, trying to make the place sound better than it is, and he finally agrees to tell them where the leg is in exchange for them getting him out of the hospital. And we get to see a rare occasion where Cotton is legitimately afraid that Hank's going to just abandon him and he's going to be stuck there.
All right. It's in Gribble's golf bag. I drew a 1 on it and signed it Lee Trevino.
All right, then. Dale's golf bag. Take it easy, Dad.
Don't forget about your old man. You'll come back for me, right, boy?
By the way, for those unaware, Lee Trevino is a retired pro golfer who is seen as one of the best to ever play the game. Most of you, however, will probably know him as either the bassist for Lee Carvello from The Simpsons, or from his role in Happy Gilmore.
That's right, I'm gonna beat your ass on the course.
Yeah, right. Grizzly Adams had a beard.
Grizzly Adams did have a beard.
Anywho, Hank can't just leave Cotton in the VA. Cotton may not have been the best dad, but Hank is a good son. So he tries to figure out a way to get Cotton out without them having to constantly supervise him, and he comes up with a plan.
Am I gonna live with you and Hank's wife?
No.
But I told you where the leg was!
I know, and I gave it to the police. Look, Dad, I can't take care of you all day long, and you wouldn't really want it that way, so there's only one other option.
Did he?
Yep, Hank's plan is to bring in Dee Dee, then recreate the scene that made them fall for each other, including playing Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree by the Andrews Sisters.
What's she doing here? I told you it was over, woman!
I told him the same thing, but he said I have to sign something to get the Cadillac car.
Dee Dee sees Cotton as a small, helpless baby man, which is what attracted her to him in the first place. Well, probably that and daddy issues.
They've got you in a baby gown. Oh, look at the baby. Oh. Huh? I'll get those.
And Cotton sees Dee Dee's rear end, reminding him that, well, she has a big rear end. And luckily this plan ends up working, and Cotton goes home with Dee Dee.
I'm sorry I said your butt was too small. But if anything, it's too big. But I likes you for who you is.
Come on, little baby boy. I'll drive you home.
We then get to see the ceremony where the leg is being passed over to the Mexican government, but come to find out the leg is a fake.
Well, the important thing is they got it back.
Hey, wait a minute. That's the leg I made for the play. Ooh.
Meanwhile, at a Mexican branch of the Department of Transportation, we see the real leg as Cotton hands it over after being given a Mexican driver's license, which, 1, that's not valid in the United States, and 2, an American can get a Mexican driver's license if they have either an FMM tourist visa, a pre-approved visa from a Mexican consulate, a temporary resident card, or a permanent resident card. And they also have to have a passport, their birth certificate, and proof of their address. So no, Sandy Annie's leg or not, Cotton would not have gotten a Mexican driver's license.
Here you are, senor. 1 driver's license.
Thank you. And here you are. 1 Sandy Annie's leg.
And that's the end of the episode. It's a good episode, has quite a few funny moments, and of course Cotton is good for some laughs. Plus, we get to see more of Cotton and Dee Dee's relationship dynamic as well as how they met. The downside for me to this episode is just the Dale being annoying parts, and typically Dale's one of the best parts of the show. But every so often they pull the annoying Dale card and it typically hurts the episodes. It's like when he breaks up Bill's relationship in Untitled Blake McCormick Project, or the whole whole basket episode, both of which are episodes I have no issue with skipping. We learn some fun history, we get to see Hank shut Cotton down a few times, which is rare, and we get to see the team up of Dale and Cotton, which I found funny, but not as funny as when Cotton made Bill his new fatty. It also doesn't help that this episode falls between Hank's Dirty Laundry and Leanne's Saga, two episodes that are objectively better. So this one doesn't come off as the best during a binge watch, but it still leagues better than many of the later season episodes. Plus, if nothing else, we get to see Luann upset that someone stole Santa Claus's leg.
Aunt Peg, Uncle Hank, I just heard on the news there's a Santa Claus exhibit at the museum and someone stole his leg. Oh.
Good morning, class. I will be subbing for Mrs. Dorland, who is at home recuperating from the hantavirus.
What's the hantavirus?
Well, Clark, it's a flu-like disease usually contracted from rodent droppings.